Howard. Is Stacy here today?
She's not able to make it tonight.
I'm usually the one that talks too much, so maybe not. Well, is it on?
It is.
Test. Yeah, you're there. It's there.
It's on now.
Yeah, green light.
The what?
Lights are green. Tell me when we're ready.
Well, we're waiting. She's checking to make sure it's on. We're good? And you can hear?
Are you recording?
Never know where the clock is.
We're not quite there yet. We have one more minute.
We're delayed a little bit, but yes, we're recording.
I hear it.
Okay. Let me turn that off. Okay, so it's working and no feedback, so that's good.
Yeah. We have about 1 minute.
Thank you.
A little over. We're about 80 seconds. What? 5:30 now? Okay, we can let me record.
Are we recording?
We are.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening, everybody. Pastor?
Let's stand and pray, please. Father, we come to you and say we're so thankful that we still have a city and we have a leadership in our city that allows us to come and invite you to come and be in our meetings and to give us wisdom and guidance and direction, God, for everything we do. We ask you, Lord, tonight to help us as citizens and these your leadership, God, to do exactly, God, as you would have us be. God, let every word we say and every thought, God, be acceptable to you. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy days to come to our council meeting. We have 4 items on the agenda tonight.
Call roll, sir.
Yeah. Ms. Galbraith won't be attending the meeting. Madam Clerk, we call the roll.
Miss Barrow.
Here.
Mr. Chappell.
Here.
Miss Gibson.
Here.
Mayor Kelly.
Here. Thank you very much. First item is to approve the minutes from the 10th, 17/23. 10/25. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. We have a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second it.
We have a second. When you call the roll, please.
Miss Barrow. Yes. Mr. Chappell.
Yes.
Miss Gibson.
Yes.
Mayor Kelly.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you very much. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda at this time? Anybody? Nothing? Okay, great. At this time, anybody in the audience who would like to approach the podium to discuss any subject you'd like to talk about that's not on the agenda? Yes, ma'am.
Jeanette Howard, 1123 East Park Street.
Yes, ma'am.
So we all received sticker shock this week when we received our tax bills. They weren't the 3% increase that we were told in November of 2022. My taxes went up 29% from Parker alone. Total, it went up 44%. So Parker will collect about $800,000 in ad valorem tax.
Yes, ma'am.
A couple months ago, I came to this podium during a public hearing, and I asked if any of the $800,000 would go to fund CRA, like it does in other cities, like Callaway, Springfield. I was told no, only Bay County's ad valorem tax goes to fund CRA. Mrs. Rega told me when I was at the podium that she would get an answer for me.
Mm-hmm.
I have received no answer.
Okay. Mr. Sloan, would you explain CRA funding from the county, how we receive that to this lady, please?
I do know how the county works. I'm talking about Parker ad valorem tax. So, Mayor Kelly, now that you brought up the Bay County ad valorem tax, we will be receiving $154,000 from Bay County ad valorem tax.
Is that for the CRA?
That's for the CRA.
Correct.
That's based on a 5.4 millage.
Yeah.
We have a 3.0 millage. If Parker were to do the same as Bay County, we would receive an additional $85,000 using the exact same calculation. I'm hoping the law will force Parker to do that. I'm hoping that Mr. Chuck Perdue will deposit $85,000 into our CRA fund from Parker's ad valorem tax. I still want an answer from Mrs. Rega, but that's what I'm hoping. If that comes true, we have an existing $13,000 in our CRA fund. Added to that, we'll get $154,000 from Bay County. So we'll have at least $167,000. If Parker is forced to add their ad valorem tax, we'll have over $200,000, $252,000. Do we have a CRA trust fund for this money?
Am I allowed to answer on your time?
Yes, sir.
We do not. We have just a regular fund.
Will you get a CRA trust fund? Because there is an ordinance that was established in 2006 that states that you will have a CRA trust fund.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Galbraith mentioned at the last meeting that she would invite somebody from Bay County
Thank
to
you,
come
ma'am.
talk.
Appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else from the audience before we get started?
Oh, sorry.
Anna Marie Morris, 129 North Lakewood. I wanted to personally thank Mayor Kelly for saving the VFW's pig roast. We had a big motorcycle ride on Saturday, Make-A-Wish, and a couple hundred people were there, and the smoker cooker thing that was retrieved originally to do the pigs on was not usable. And Mayor Kelly was gracious enough to deliver the smoker cooker and pick it up, and we really appreciate it.
You're more than welcome,
It was
ma'am.
a great meal, and you made it happen.
Thank you, ma'am. Does anybody else from the audience have anything they'd like to discuss at the podium?
Pat Bosick, 1344 Stratford. Question from the sports park meeting that we had a couple of weeks ago. There was a lot of discussion about that property being gifted to us and we can't make money on it or whatever, and there was a lot of discussion, and the council said, we're gonna check with Mr. Sloan and find out. Did anybody follow up with you yet?
Wasn't here for the meeting. No one's mentioned this to me now. Ms.
Okay.
Wysocki, you're the first one.
Okay.
Do we know? I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't there, so I couldn't answer your question.
I can answer half of her question. It
Okay.
was years ago, the state did provide the city a grant to purchase the property or to improve the property, I don't know which, and there are some strings that go with that grant.
Now, was that Peak Park or the sports park?
No,
Because they're two separate.
I believe it's a sports park.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So there are some restrictions?
Yes, ma'am.
Can we learn what those were? Because there was a lot of discussion about ways to fund all the great ideas that came up.
Yep.
And we were trying to figure out if there's some way that we can, I don't wanna say earn money, but make money to help make those things happen. So just whatever we can learn more about that so that we could, work towards the sports park. The Melindy property back during July, I had asked a question about that permit that we're waiting from the Northwest Florida Water District. Have we gotten that yet? Oh, government in action. Okay, thanks. I'm just curious.
We met with them last week. It's coming very
Cool.
soon.
Thank you, Mayor Kelly. Another thing that you had brought up at the, one of the last meetings that we had when the, Riggs was here to do the audit, that they had told us that there would be a new fee structure for the city. Have they submitted that new fee structure to you so that the council can evaluate whether or not we're keeping
Well,
them
if you
on
remember,
board?
Ms. Galbraith brought up that she wanted it to go to RFP.
Right,
And I don't know that we've got that far yet. We're still waiting for a legal guidance, and if we have a contract, we can't go to RFP.
okay,
So that's where we're waiting on an answer to that.
okay,
If we do go to RFP, then I've had some conversations with them, minor, small conversations, nothing significant at this time.
Okay, thank you for that. And then last, in July, we were talking about, and I think this has come up again, we were talking about the, putting the water main down Tyndall Parkway.
Yes, ma'am.
We've got the bids, we've awarded the contract. I know, I think I spoke with Tony and he was telling me that, Anchor is negotiating on the state reserve fund, trying to get some more financing in there. But you had mentioned that we still don't have owners, property owners that have granted the city permission.
We have
made
we
any
have some
progress?
people who would like us to go to court. And,
Are you
most
serious?
recently said to me that they won't give it to me without seeing their lawyer first, and I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to do that.
Okay,
Thank you, ma'am.
thank you for that, Dave.
Anybody else, so we can move on with our thank you. Yes, ma'am.
About the flags. Gonna put them out tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock,
Lovely.
and we're gonna meet over at Cadillac Jack's again, 'cause
Fantastic.
nobody's there. Need all the help we can get so far. I only have a couple people. It's the last back.
For what it's worth, Diane, we had mowed the cemetery today. The Masons are gonna do theirs Wednesday also.
What do you mean?
You said 9 a.m. at
Cadillac Jacks is where they're gonna meet.
Yeah, what do you mean? They're gonna do the cemetery?
They're gonna do the
but-
cemetery and their Masonic Lodge.
Okay, and we're gonna
You guys
do-
are doing the parkway. That's what they,
Right, we're gonna try to get down from the bridge
Right.
as far down
That'd
as
be
we
nice.
can. I have 900 flags now or something.
That's
like
great.
that. Okay, and then, I don't know if this was discussed, why hasn't there been a quasi-judicial hearing since May? And surely there are gotta be some code enforcements to be addressed. And my other thing, I might as well just keep on with my questions. What is the status of hiring a new code enforcement officer?
job has been posted, 25 applicants. They're narrowing them down now to pick out some to interview.
Okay, and I've heard in the community about issuing the ruling on November 22nd for the boat ramp. Do y'all know about it? Because it's been in the,
I try not to deal with rumor. I've been
It's
told
not
by
a
my
rumor.
attorney. Okay,
It's-
then you know the
it's-
answer.
no, I don't know if y'all know the answer, because for the boat dock, does at the council, do they know about it? And what's the update on the sign issued? Where she had, I gave you the picture of the sign. and
Yes.
This is from the Wilson's Court case. This is absolutely on Wilson Court,
You want me to?
Yeah.
November 22nd.
There is a hearing on November 22nd.
Correct.
We have filed a motion for rehearing or a motion for clarification to ask the court to either revisit its prior decision or to clarify its prior decision. And we also filed a motion to preserve the status quo as it existed prior to the filing of the lawsuit, i.e. no signage, no notes on cars.
No tickets, no towing cars,
tickets,
nothing.
No, nothing. And that is also set for hearing on the 22nd.
I had noticed a lot of trailers empty, boats coming in and pulling them out of the water. They're not going back and forth and in. I noticed a
ma'am.
lot of that, so a lot of that problem, I don't think it's a problem, I like it. And then back in July, that was already handled, that's it,
Okay.
so.
Thank you, ma'am. And thanks for putting the flags out.
Flags, what?
Thank you for putting the flags out.
Does she get a quasi answer?
Is she gonna what?
A quasi judicial answer?
Why it hasn't
I
been
have,
done.
I have them.
Okay, we have it. We have it. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, but what was the answer? Did I overdo that?
Would you like me to?
Sure.
Okay. We haven't had a quasi judicial because we had a code enforcement officer come in, but that code enforcement officer hadn't stayed long enough for that process to occur. She then quit. We are now getting another code enforcement officer, and when she's in place, we can move forward with the quasi judicial hearings.
You hired one already?
No, ma'am. As Mayor said, we have multiple applicants. We have not hired one yet.
Okay, so, but what does that have to do with not having a meeting where?
The
with that-
code officer stands
Has to
aside
be there.
along with your,
They
Magistrate.
present the
Magistrate.
case, yeah.
yes.
Okay,
They have to testify.
alrighty.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, so, anybody? No. All right, the first item on the agenda is the grant writer RFP and approval. Madam Clerk, you have the floor.
So, we bid this out and no one responded. Miss Gibson and I had conversation about things we might do to find them, so I went hunting. I had one gentleman who graced me with his presence. He is a grant writer out of Alabama, and he said there isn't any one place to go to advertise for a grant writer. And they pretty much were kind of solo. So he looked at the RFP, he made some recommendations regarding it. He was not interested in being a grant writer for us, but he was giving some guidance. We had one lady who had reached out to me via email right back when we were beginning this process. So I emailed her back and I sent her a copy of the RFP. If I remember dates correctly, we were scheduled to RFP either on the 7th or the 8th, whatever day it was, we RFP'd. I sent her, the RFP on the 9th. So she did not respond back to me. I mean, she responded back to say she'd received it, but I hadn't heard back from her. So I reached out to her again, and she said it's pretty extensive RFP. She's interested, but she was hoping for an extension. So that's what I'm asking for tonight. However, I don't know if we legally, Mr. Sloan, do we have to re-advertise, or can we just vote to have an extension?
Well, given the fact that there have been no bids, there's nobody prejudiced, so I would,
30 days.
I'd suggest you just put it back out with different dates. You need to be clear on the dates, though, so everybody.
So we can't just vote to have an extension for this person who's been interested?
No, that's what I'm saying. You can do that, but you need to be clear on the dates that you're extending it to, because there's a number of dates in there that need to be dealt with. The response due date, the bid opening date, the committee review proposal date, and the city council date. Those are the dates that are in there, which obviously are not going to be.
So would we add a line to it that we're extending to a date, or do we have to rebid the entire thing? That's the piece I'm not understanding.
I don't know how you put it out to start with, but you need to clarify that those dates that are in the original RFP are not valid anymore. So if you put it out on some kind of publication, like a newspaper publication,
that's how we do it.
Then yeah, I mean, the only way to update that would be to put out a new publication. Now, if you did it by the internet and you could change the dates on the internet itself, that'd be a different story.
No, I think we'd have to change the dates within the RFP.
Okay. All right. Well, then, if the council is willing to extend it, then you and I can work out the dates, but we need to give them enough time to be able to bid it.
60 days?
Whatever y'all want to come up with, Mayor.
Council,
and there's no guarantee that you're going to get anybody, even at that.
I mean, if we've had this much luck, what are our options about hiring a full-time grant writer as personnel? I mean, the amount of money that we would be spending to contract somebody out, I mean, based off of the little bit of information we got from the one lady that came, she had sent some information and it was very expensive.
And she's the one that's actually said she's interested.
Yeah. So, I mean, is that something we should look at? Is hiring a full-time grant writer as an employee?
I think that's going to be a lot of money. Money we don't currently have.
Well, it's also, you know, I mean, if you're looking at apples and apples, what did we spend, you know, for the grants that we had written the last couple years? I mean, the one from you know, one of the ones that we had done was 10,000 alone for just one.
Yeah.
With CDR McGuire. That was a couple of years ago. And that's the one I think of at the top of my head. And then every time we've ever done anything that's big like that, and by the time you add it up, you look at the ROI at each grant, and it's a substantial grant with millions. It's costing 10 to 15,000. 4 grants written covers. I mean, maybe we're going about it the wrong way. Instead of asking for an RFP, we're asking to hire an employee.
Well, if I think we're gonna do that, we need to look at the budget and see what we're willing to give up. How much are we gonna spend, first of all? 100,000?
I think we have to do some more research on what a grant writer would cost. I mean, CDR McGuire, and we're working out the
Percentages.
Tony, what was that big project that, I mean, I remember discussing it, cause it was one of the big projects and it was like a couple $1 million.
I think the police hardening and the generator one were both right around 5,000 apiece.
Okay.
That was paid by FEMA, it wasn't paid by us. That came from the grant.
So we did pay them. We paid them several $1,000s to write them one for 10 more that we didn't get.
Right, 18,000, I think, the one we didn't get.
I'm not sure.
Hey Julie, is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
something that we could pull together? I mean, is there a way to be able to pull and extract what we paid in grants to have grants written
The
through?
only person that we paid to is CDR.
Okay.
That she just have to pull out the FEMA out of their bills.
We probably won't use CDR again once we close this out.
Yeah.
We'll just close up what we're at, get phase 2 finished, and then we'll be done with them.
Is that
They're
something?
not coded, they're not coded by, well, I guess they are, aren't they? They are
They're coded by the grant.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
It should just be a report, right?
should be able to.
Yeah.
Can you work with that together and let's take a look at that and, I mean, I say it wouldn't hurt to try again on the RFP and maybe,
Run it for 60 more days, see what happens. Council, what do you think?
we keep kicking this down the road. I mean, it's,
I'm open to suggestions, but people aren't chomping at the bit. 60 days, is that what we wanna do?
My idea on a grant writer is, I don't think we ought to take out of our budget to pay a grant writer. If a grant writer goes and writes a grant and wins the grant and, give them 25% of the grant or whatever, but, to go and take the money out of our city to pay a grant writer and then not have a grant that failed, we're just out of that money and,
so, I guess,
The gamble you make is that the grant flies and we get this for paying that amount of money. Or the grant doesn't fly and you still have to pay them for doing the work.
right.
Now, depending on who the grant writer is and what the grant is for, may dictate how much the grant writer would get. The money I looked at from CDR McGuire, the administrative payout was 5% of the overall cost. That's right. Plus the administrative fee attached to it that the city had to pay, that we didn't get back. So, but we could not have probably have recovered from the storm without having CDR or somebody like them that does that kind of thing for recovery. So I feel your plight, Ron, but I don't know where you get somebody that work for free. They just don't exist.
Well, I would put more of an initiative to make sure that they're dotting all the i's and stuff like that, and be incentive to go ahead and try to get that grant, whatever the grant is.
Right.
so I think the problem with that is that they're only gonna go for the millions of dollars.
Absolutely
grants.
they are.
They're not gonna do a $50,000 grant
That's
for
right.
playground equipment that's an easy win.
Because the percentage of recovery for them is
Because
minimal.
they're only gonna make $200, it's not worth their time to do it. So that's why I'm thinking, I mean, every municipality that has grant writers has a physical personnel grant writer, or a whole department that is a grant writing. Is it Panama City Beach has a whole department, right?
3 people.
So,
So they do get paid percentage.
which would be great, but they get a base salary plus percentage.
Base
And I
salary
don't
plus
have a
a
problem with
percentage.
that. I mean, in my mind, a grant writer is like a salesperson.
We'd
The
have to
harder the-
decide what we're gonna give up, in order to pay that person. How much did the other lady ask for, flat rate?
She never gave that to me. She's
Okay.
just saying she's completing it, but did she tell you guys?
She sent us something right after that meeting.
She did, it was quite a lot.
Yeah. And that, I
Yes,
think that
ma'am,
was
go ahead, you're already up.
long before I came.
I like April's thought to go ahead and extend, thank you, to go ahead and extend the RFP. But as far as an employee, Pensacola just ran an ad. There was a press release that came out from the city of Pensacola where they're hiring 2 positions. It was like, director of grants and something else. So that would give us an idea as to what the salary might be, and maybe even a job description. I just happened to see it. Pensacola has a public information officer, and they issued a press release within the last.
Do you remember what they paid?
No, it wasn't in the release.
Oh.
And I tried to print it because I was going to bring it tonight, and I couldn't print the press release. It was on my phone. My question is, why not consider either an individual contractor? And I don't know. Can
Well,
we
I thought
hire?
the
Well,
lady that came to talk to us did a good job. I thought
she did. I thought it was great too, but again, we never heard the figure, but we heard it was expensive.
It was
But
a
you know how
lot.
we have Suzanne as a contractor? Can we hire a person as a contractor
That's what we'd have to do.
versus an employee?
Because you couldn't give them state retirement.
Right, then you don't have those expenses, insurance, and yeah, they're at a flat fee, but they get a percentage.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be somebody that would be interested.
So what if we
So,
run the RFP
I
for
like
another
the-
60
I like
days,
the
and in that
idea.
period of time, look at some other options? What do you think about that, council?
See, I just feel like we've been here for 3 years. I've been trying to get a grant writer for 3 years.
Well,
Can we do 30 days?
If you want to,
Or
but it's gonna bring us
45?
into the holidays.
It,
No one's gonna bid nothing until January rolls around.
so we have to give a certain amount of time, if I'm understanding correctly, for the advertisement.
And the closing date.
And then we have to have the closing date,
Yeah.
and it has to be a date when we open it that the council meets.
Correct.
So those things all play into these dates. But, I
We
mean,
could just bump all the dates 60 days if that's what you wanna do.
I think that would be good.
we could.
60 days from today.
So,
You have to have your package
Or
in.
60 days from the dates in the original RFP.
Okay, and that was
Well, the process started October 8th, so we bumped that.
November
to
8th.
December,
December the
December
8th.
With the RFP due, right after the first of the year. So
January
may-
8th.
Maybe you wanna give it
Like
a little
another
more
week
time.
or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does
Well-
that sound to you, council?
If you would allow the clerk and myself to come up with new dates that make sense.
Yeah.
In given that time frame,
Come to the
then we
podium.
can do that.
Okay, that works for me if it works for you.
Well, do we want to wait, once y'all come up with all that, bring it to the council the next meeting and us vote on it? Or does it have to be voted on?
Can we just have the dates adjusted and vote on it? Can we
I don't
just do it
think we
that
need to
way?
vote on it, do we? Just adjust the dates and do it.
Just put it back out again.
Put it back out.
so we don't
Now,
have
the
to
question
vote.
is, you're gonna have some expense, maybe $500. I don't know how much did the paper ad cost?
Do we have to do paper
It
ads
was
now?
about,
No, but
I'm trying to recall.
I think trying to reach
don't-
out to as many people
Was
as
that,
you
it
can.
was right around 500?
Yeah.
I mean, we could
So the
be
question, I guess
comfortable
the
saying
question
500.
becomes, do you want to do that, spend the 500 and still have the discussion about the employee? Or do you wanna have the employee discussion first before you spend the $500?
I'd be okay for a conversation with the employee and put it back out for RFP, but I wanna know where we're gonna find the money to pay the employee and
We need to go.
what we're gonna give up to do that with. Go ahead, ma'am, what are they thinking?
Mr. Sloan, did I understand you correctly when you said it would be easier to rebid this if it weren't done with the newspaper? If it were on the internet?
No, I was asking how it was bid. I didn't know how it was put out.
But do you believe that the newspaper, having to redo the whole newspaper is more burdensome than if it were?
No, I don't think so. The issue for the city is just getting it out to as many folks as you can get it out to, so that hopefully somebody can respond.
So
I
there's
mean,
no difference between the internet or a newspaper?
well, I don't know what you get more bang for your buck for. No, I don't know.
Yeah, technically, because we did it on column, it technically is online with News Herald.
Well, and I think,
And we also did it with the Florida League of Cities. We advertised in both places.
let's go ahead and put it back out, and then we'll have, we'll work on getting some numbers together and getting some data on pay and that kind of thing.
Okay.
I think that's, we're just gonna.
All right.
Well, I
Very
just
good.
think we need to vote on it instead of sitting here saying, well, we're gonna do this date, we're gonna do that date. I mean, I don't feel comfortable just changing dates on something.
So what date did we want, you were gonna start November the 8th, and then have it end like January the.
First meeting in January, or whatever.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you want to start the distribution and advertisement January 8th? That's after the first of the year, and then,
Well, do we have to wait? I mean,
no, but I heard the concerns that there, with the holidays, people aren't going to be paying attention and
Historically, they
and
don't.
bidding.
Yeah.
So, do you want to, is that when you want to start it, or do you want to start it December the 8th?
I'd like to start it December 8th and then have the bids come in like, I don't know, maybe if they can have the bids in by the 12th, so that gives them, after the holidays, that they come back on the 2nd, that gives them 10 days to work on, if somebody actually applies, to work on it. And then we can open them up on the 16th.
Sounds good to me, April. That's good.
All right, I'll make a motion to rerun the RFP for the grant writers starting December the 8th, ending on January 12th, and we'll open them on the 16th.
16. Okay. We have a motion on the floor.
And I'll adjust the other two dates about the review of the proposal and when it'll come before you all accordingly. Okay.
yeah, okay. Ms. Barrow?
No, we haven't got a second yet, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on a second.
I apologize.
You spoke. Do I have a second or not?
Well, I just got an issue doing it that early if we wait till after the first of the year. Cause I do feel like it's gonna be, it's not gonna be worth it putting it out there until January. That's my opinion.
Any discussion?
I mean, we really think people are totally gonna shut down for the whole month of December and beginning of January? I mean,
Well,
you know.
got people going on vacation and all that stuff during December. I mean, we're gonna do something like that. I'm with Tanya. I think we ought
Well,
to.
it ain't gonna, we've gone this long, I don't think a few more days is gonna matter.
Okay. Well, we have a motion on the floor. If the motion doesn't pass, then we need to figure out some of the dates and times. Okay, dies on the vine. Does anybody else have some dates? April, you want to change your dates?
I think
Whatever
should
you want the
start it
dates to be.
January of what, the 8th of January or whatever, go from those dates?
Starting
Yeah,
the
we're
bidding on
starting
the
it.
8th of January is what you're saying?
No, well, whatever the
Start the
procedure is.
advertisement, Mayor.
Start the advertisement on the 8th of January.
Procedure of it, like you were doing it on December, instead do it on January.
Okay, okay, so we're doing January through,
And that gives everybody a fresh time, year starting and people looking.
And then the response would be due in February. You want it still on the 12th?
sure, if that's good for everybody.
And then the opening would be, what's the meeting after that, April?
You said February, the first meeting would be the 6th,
No, the one after February 12th,
the next one's the 20th.
20th. Okay.
December, January, so we're waiting 3 months to get another RFP going.
Well, we're gonna vote, that's what we're gonna do. So what's the dates, Mr. Sloan?
The distribution advertisement of the RFP would be January 8th. The responses due February the 12th. The bid opening would be February 20th. And then the committee review and the council would be after that.
Would that be okay?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, so we need a motion and a second for this.
I'll make a motion and go with those dates that Mr. Sloan just gave.
Okay. I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Madam Clerk, will you please call a roll?
Miss Barrow,
Yes.
Mr. Chappell,
Yes.
Miss Gibson,
No.
Mayor Kelly.
Yes. Something's better than nothing. Okay, thank you.
So the final date was February the 20th?
20th is the bid opening, and then the committee review would be a week after that, which would be February 27th. And then the council decision on March the 5th.
Item 2 is the debris contract extension. Mr. Sumlin, you want to tell the city council about this?
Good evening, council. This is basically more in the city clerk's wheelhouse, but I'm trying to step in and help with this one. Our debris hauler contract is going to expire in December, and some of the meetings that I've attended and have heard from some of the other cities, they're basically just extending their debris contracts if they can 1 year, because they've heard some of the changes that are coming down that are going to be required in these contracts. So if we go out through the whole process of doing the RFP and everything for a new hauler, that we might not have in our RFP the qualifications that FEMA is going to require them to have. So my request tonight is that if you would just grant me permission to possibly reach out to Crowder Gulf and see if we can negotiate just extending our contract within one more fiscal year till we can find out what these new requirements and restrictions will be, plus also to possibly help with the clerk then establish a new RFP to get this done and in place with whatever contractor comes in before December of next year.
So these FEMA rules that are possibly changing, or they're on the pipeline to change?
It sounds like there's gonna be more requirements required from the haulers, that they're gonna be more. We've already been told, like our DDMS site, which was the sports complex, we've already been told by the monitoring firm that for us to have that as a site again, it's gonna have to be pre-approved. It's gonna have to go through historical, environmental, and all that before it can be done that again. And if we had a storm right now, we couldn't put anything over there until all that happened. So if you don't do that 6 months in advance, you won't be doing any of it. So they're changing a lot of the requirements because of the storms. So like I said, we just wanna make sure that we don't go through all this process to find out when we sign a contract that we're gonna have to go back and say,
You're gonna have to add
redo
on
it.
a bunch of
So like I
requirements.
said, we talked with one of the neighboring cities and one of the meetings that we went to, because there's this program called FROC that we're a part of now, that all Bay County's a part of, and it's getting pre-qualified for funding through a storm in advance. So that way we don't have to borrow money, and that
Is that
FEMA
through the Florida, that's through the Florida state government, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
And-
emergency management people.
Yes.
Yes,
And-
okay.
And we're a part of that. Like I said, in those discussions, that's why they're saying everybody's just trying to move their contracts just one more year, just to get all this worked out and make sure it's streamlined. Like I said, I don't even know if Crowder will extend it for a year, but I didn't want to reach out to them until I had your blessing to
Right.
try to negotiate a year extension.
Where's the date on this?
It's on the front page.
Expires December 23rd.
Yeah, but this isn't even signed by them or anything. That has no date on it or anything.
I don't know where that one comes
That
from.
just came out of our files.
I said, it expires this December.
Will it come with that?
So you're asking for it to start when? December to December again?
Yeah, just like I said, if I can negotiate with them to get
Yeah.
a 1-year extension, that's all we're asking for, because hopefully by mid-year, we've already got our answers answered, and we go ahead and start going out for this
RFP.
process.
Right.
So we've got we've got this contractor or a new contractor on board before December of next year.
I got you.
I make a motion to have Tony negotiate for an extension of a year
Yep.
on the debris removal.
We got a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. You please call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Miss Barrow,
Yes.
Mr. Chapel,
Yes.
Miss Gibson,
Yes.
Mayor Kelly.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you, Mr. Sumlin. I appreciate your hard work. The next item on the agenda is the administrative vehicle purchase. And Mr. Sumlin, it's you again, sir. You're up.
So basically, I've had the city mechanic come to me and asked if I would try to present this to you. We have 2 admin vehicles that are exceptionally old and outdated. They are both in need of repair that we feel exceed their value, and that we don't have in the 5-year plan. None of these vehicles were put in there, so there was no timeline of when they would have been replaced. The city got we got the reimbursement from the water line extension from DOT, which was $60,000 that ARPA paid for that extension. So we got that reimbursement of $60,000 back. It's already back in the ARPA fund. And so what I'm asking for tonight is if we could take that $60,000 from ARPA and buy 2 replacement cars for admin, one for code and one for City Hall.
Is it true that the admin car is an ex-police car that's been totaled once?
The code car.
The code car.
The code car has been hand-me-down twice. It was the
Okay.
investigator's car. It was T-boned. Public Works fixed it. Public Works kept it, and then when Hurricane Michael took out the other
They
staff
totaled it
car,
again.
we donated it to City Hall.
Okay.
So
All right.
City Hall did have 2 Tauruses, but Hurricane Michael took one.
Destroyed.
And
Okay.
the current staff car.
It's dying.
The current staff car is dying. The current staff car has been involved in 2 accidents.
Do you think that you can buy 2 cars for that amount of money?
I believe so. I'm looking at possibly the Ford Maverick or the Chevy Trax. Those are the 2 cheapest vehicles I've been able to find right now. And hopefully with it being the end of the year right now, there are some, whoever I have
23
them,
left
I'm trying
over.
to get the 23s, whoever I get the cheapest I can.
Okay, sounds
So
good.
say again, the 60,000 is coming from where?
It's gonna be coming from ARPA,
Okay.
because the 60,000 so ARPA paid for the water line extension.
Mm-hmm.
And we got the reimbursement check of 60,000, so that
Mhm.
money went back into ARPA. So then so it's in ARPA, so ARPA would be then funding these 2 cars, but it's the same money, but we just had to put the money back in where we got it from.
So you were able to save that amount of money on the water lines?
That's what they felt that they owed us back,
Yeah,
because
they
they
did.
made us move the water line. We got the water line and we did all the work, but it was unnecessary.
Okay.
Well, I'll make a motion, we go ahead and allow them to purchase those 2 vehicles.
Very good.
Second.
We have a first and a second on the motion. Would you please call the roll?
Miss Barrow,
Yes.
Mr. Chapel,
Yes.
Miss Gibson,
Yes.
Mayor Kelly.
Yes. Mr. Sumlin, thank you, sir, for your hard work. And the last item is the Choice Hotels, formerly La Brisa. Ms. Gibson, you've got it. You have the floor.
So there is a very loud contentiousness about La Brisa not being started and completed. And I want to know we're 5 years in. It's been sitting there for 2 years with absolutely no DOs, no forward movement. Supposedly it's at EPCI. It's that pool. They've got rotted planks over the top.
Can I
It
tell
needs to
you
be
what I know?
coated. Yeah.
30 days ago, 45 days ago, I received a call from the co-owner of EPCI. And he asked me, he said, Mayor, obviously the council has voted to let them rebuild La Brisa. If they're going to rebuild it, they have a line of credit. Because of the amount of damage to the building, they're not required by the LDR to sprinkle the building. Well, I wanted the building sprinkled. and I'll tell you why. Because eventually we're going to have an 8-inch line down that side of the highway. Screwing up my voice, it's failing. But the La Brisa is a place where people will spend the night. And if you're going to spend the night in a hotel or a motel or wherever, and you should have fire protection. You just should have it. And if they're going to build it, they should build it to today's code. So it took another 40 days after I spoke with Scooter Hodges at EPCI. They initially said they weren't going to do it. That was my understanding. And then they decided that they would do it. So a week ago, I think it was Thursday, I received a call from Mr. Creel, the owner of EPCI, to tell me that if we would be satisfied with them doing all the things that they're going to do, allegedly, and that they were going to put the sprinkler system in like they've been directed, and I have seen the blueprint, so they are on it. He was going to issue the permit Thursday of last week, which did happen. So the permit has been issued for reconstruction as of last Thursday. However, I found out today, what day did they tell you, Madam Clerk, that they were going to deliver trusses?
They had ordered them, it would be approximately 60 days.
So as of today, it's going to be 60 days before the trusses are delivered. So that pushes us to the new year.
Well, I would point out, Mayor, that in the conditions that I'm assuming were issued, the ones that I drafted, it has a condition in there: the owner shall install a fire suppression / fire sprinkler system in the improvements on the property
That's
as
correct.
corrected by the city.
That's
So
correct.
that's a condition of your development order.
Well, they balked at it. They didn't want to put it in.
Well, maybe they balked at it, but
And I
that's,
told them, I
that's
said,
how,
"You will
put it
that's
in."
how it was.
But it
was-
stalls for more time, see. That's just me.
So at what point,
Do we
if in
bulldoze the building?
2024, we're waiting on trusses, do we take the excavator over
Push it
and
over.
mow it down?
Tomorrow.
No, no, no.
Tonight. Let's get it done.
Give me the keys. Let's go.
I'm not letting you touch that excavator. It's got to last a long time.
This has been dragging out.
Come to the podium.
There have been excuses upon excuses upon excuses, and I'm tired of it.
I'm
And-
with you.
And
I'm
we've
totally
got
with you.
this great development happening. Callaway is getting fitted out. We've got Culver's coming in. We've got all this stuff happening, and we're looking at cinder blocks. And poor Mr. Chappell has to live behind it.
Go ahead.
Jeanette Howard, 1123 East Park Street. How many years did it take to tear
To
down
build a
Mrs.
hotel?
Mrs. Kim's property? 23 years?
And we're still fighting that, by the way.
And we're worried about the Choice Hotel? Come on, give me a break. What about Parkway Garden? How many other places on my street have not been touched since, come on, we hate the La Brisa. Let's just say that. Come on.
Okay, but you said come on, but come on what? What do you want
Come
us
on.
to do?
I mean, have some equal justice. Equal justice. I never heard anybody talk about Mrs. Kim's property.
We all talked about Mrs.
For
Kim's
23 years. For 23 years. Come to the podium if you're going to say something, because I'm up here.
Why are you so mad?
Hey, hey,
Take a pill.
hey.
Guys,
So what I'm saying is, we sound like we're picking on the La Brisa.
We are
It
not
went
picking on
to
La
the
Brisa.
planning committee, it got approved, it went to the city council, it got approved, and now we haven't hired a grant writer. We took years to tear down Mrs. Kim's. The Parkway Gardens is still a mess. We got lots of messes, but, and as Mr. Sloan said, if it says in the contract that they're gonna put fire suppression, then have the people that demand compliance do their job. If it says in the contract they have to do fire suppression, then somebody come and call them out if they haven't done it. But don't threaten shutting them down just because we don't like the history of the La Brisa.
So let's say we're all good. How long do you think we should wait for them to set those trusses?
Well, what?
Tell
how-
me what to tell
okay,
them.
What I would say is, what did you tell them they had to do? What did the
To
order,
rebuild the hotel.
I know. In how long? What did it say that?
the
how long?
magistrate gave an order that
Oh.
they had 15 months. That was over 8 months ago.
Okay.
That's
well,
how far we are in this.
in all of this, in
In
all
all
of
of
Parker,
it.
in all of Parker, and Miss
You know
Kim's
what?
in all of it.
We
But the-
worked on this case, and it's went through the process. It's done its thing, and little by little, things are starting to come back with the sprinklers
And I
and with all these
agree.
things.
I
and
agree.
that's not okay.
It's not okay,
and
but
we
but
still have to drive by and look at it every single
and
day.
I have to drive by Mrs. Kim's for 20 years, okay? And you didn't have that sort of
But
anger
you know what?
towards her.
It's gone though. Oh, the
Or
difference.
Parkway Gardens, or the house down my street that
we
still has a
coded
tarp
Parkway
on it.
Gardens. We coded Mrs. Kim. We went to court. There was appeals, and then there were more appeals. It was a process, and it happened. It's gone now.
So-
Labrisa is still there.
Okay, and so what I say is just, they're good people. The people that are building the Choice Hotel, they're good people. And I would just say, you have until then to do this, and if they don't do it, then they don't do it. But I
But
think.
when is then? I'm gonna go with what you tell me.
Mr.
Tell me
Sloan,
when that
Okay.
is.
Just give them an order. You need to start work in a month, or 2 months, or 3 months. Give them an order.
So they respond with this, ma'am. They say, we cannot get the trusses delivered for 60 days. Is that okay?
If there's a shipping problem, yeah, because
Okay.
an equal standard to all.
Correct.
An equal standard
I
to all.
agree with you completely.
Just be fair to everybody, you know? That's all I ask.
Well, Mayor, one thing you may want to consider, their development order, which you all agreed to on May the 15th, would be up, the 6 months.
It'd be
would
over.
Would be up November the 15th. You may want to invite them.
Come and speak to the city.
To the next
Mhm.
meeting
Mhm.
and find out whether they plan on renewing that development order
Okay.
or not.
Council, would that be something you'd be interested in hearing?
So you're saying the DO
Expires.
is up in a week?
Well, you all acted on it May 15, 2023, and DO's last 6 months.
Yep.
I had a question on that, because there's no date in the actual development order. So when does that start? Does it start with when the council approved it, or does it start with when the permits are issued from EPCI?
The development order is different than the building permit. It is a different date. They are supposed to take the development order to EPCI and get a building permit issued, but it is totally separate. And as a matter of fact, the DO conditions, again, what I wrote in there, says in number 3, this order is valid for a period of 6 months from the date of issuance, meaning the substantial work on the project at the site must begin within that period and must continue without a break in work at the project site for more than 6 months. If there are extenuating circumstances, the city council may extend the period upon request of the applicant. So, that's what I'm suggesting, Mayor, you get the applicant in here and see what they're gonna request.
I think that would be a good thing to do. Now, I want to tell you something else about Miss Kim's place. How would you feel, now that it's pushed over and gone, that they don't take up the foundation and that they put 6 pole barns there? Would that be okay? No. And now that's what we're fighting now. Every day I fight these battles. Every day. I invite you to come and look at all of the documentation for these folks. Nobody does what they're supposed to do. Nobody. Everybody wants to go to court. Everybody. And I'm okay with that. We can go every day, but that's where we're at. They don't want to build, they want to. So right now we're fighting with them to make them, that's why you see that piece of equipment poking straight down in the ground, because I wanted all the concrete gone, all the debris gone. The only thing that they should leave behind is the fence that borders the neighbors' yards on 2nd Street, the Masonic Lodge, and the vacant lot to the left, because it's not fair to let people walking up and down Business 98 to cross through that vacant property and go into other people's properties because they take the fence down. I'm just trying to be fair, but they were not going to take up the foundation. Mr. Sumlin marked it. They cut the sewer and water loose. Then they said, no, we don't want to dig up all the building. We want to leave the foundation behind so that we could put up pole barns to put our things in. And we said, no, we're not putting things in pole barns. It's not a farm, it's a city, and we're going to have a row of stores there or whatever people want. But it's an uphill battle every day. Parkway Garden Apartments We are waiting for the machine that turns the concrete block into fill. They'll bring it on site, they'll put the piles of stuff that they have there in it, and they'll make it smaller, and that is the foundation that they use for new construction. We're just waiting for them. We thought it was going to happen in September, but it didn't for whatever reason. Thank you, Mr. Summerlin. But there's not enough hours in the day to call all of these folks every single day. John Lee Nissan, you were saying that you wanted to go and campaign in front of his building. I've talked to the seller. They don't know why that he even bought the property. There's all kinds of rumors about why things are the way they are, but you can't make people do things. You have to move along at the speed of a judge. So, go ahead and ask me.
Diane.
Yeah, come up.
I was just.
Yes, I'll help you put your flags up if that's what you're going to ask me.
Okay, I need the help, please.
I got extinguisher testing tomorrow.
Excuses. No, gotta go do flags.
Okay.
Listen, I was just thinking that, is there any way at the Choice Hotel you can tell them, if you can't get the trusses for 60 days, can you at least start cleaning up the property?
Why can't they cut the grass?
That's what
Right? Why can't they? The pool is alive with mosquitoes. You go by there, it looks like Pepper jumped on you. You know?
Well, that's it, and tell them that they have to do something with that pool. That pool is not right, being right there on the road. Get rid of it, put it in the backyard or whatever. Tell them start doing something.
That was in their plans for
wasn't in the
recon.
design.
Yeah, they were going to bring it back in the new hotel.
So
Bring
I
it in the
spoke
front.
to the contractor who's doing the building portion today, and I suggested to him that it would help a lot with the citizens and how they feel about this development if they would at least just clean up the debris and mow the weeds down. So we'll see where that goes to.
So,
Anything at all.
I know we don't have a code enforcement person, but Donna is still certified, correct?
Mr. Talley will be here in the morning.
No, Miss Helms is going to be, she's taken on that along with planning.
Talley not going to be here tomorrow now?
No, he is.
Okay,
He's
yeah.
coming
Yeah.
to train.
Okay.
Yeah, tomorrow.
So, to
Thank
me,
you,
the
Diane.
pool is that is a public safety issue. There are rotted boards over that pool. It is not secure. The fence isn't secure. Like, it's a mess.
Okay.
So, worst case,
We'll
give
call
them the
them
warning.
back.
Give them the warning and give them 10 days to fix, or we can find them. The least that we can do for our citizens is at least cut the grass. That would be great.
Well, I told him that today, but I will call him back tomorrow
And let's go ahead and bring the group back in, and let's have a conversation about November 15th. Because this has been one thing after another, just like all the rest of them. One thing after another, after another, after another, and I'm done.
Would you not agree, council and the citizens, that we're better off having a slab of dirt with grass growing than you are half destroyed buildings? Would that not be better? I mean, Miss Kim's place is gone. God knows it took so much work to get it to go. It was never going to ever come back again. It wasn't. It was done. And if I ever see anybody rent a room at La Brisa, I'll be shocked. I will. I think I'll be dead before that happens. Okay. Okay, does anybody else have anything
Mayor
on?
Kelly, is he done?
You should work here.
He said the grass will be cut this week and the crushers will be there the first week of December.
Across the street or his?
Parkway.
Parkway. Okay, here you go. That's your answer. He just called him. We have to wait. They have one crusher. They move it all over Bay County and the Panhandle, and it's going to be here when?
First week of December.
First week in November. I'll hold his feet to the fire.
December.
Mowed this week.
Mowed this week. Fair enough.
And just to be clear, this is not about the people that own La Brisa. This has nothing to do with skin color. This has nothing to do with nationality. It absolutely does not. we treated Miss Kim just the way that we treated Labrisa, that we treated the house on 2nd Street. And the citizens are done. Oh, you can disagree with me all you want, but that's the truth. This has nothing to do with race. My kids are.
Race. Did you say race? I never said race.
You were using equality.
No, I
and
said equal treatment for everybody. Well, I didn't
but
use race.
this has nothing to. It is equal treatment. It's been 5 years, and we're still farting around with this. I'm done. We're done.
I spent 8 hours on Tyndall yesterday, and it's like going into a different United States when you cross onto the post. I couldn't believe it. There was that many people. It looked like it was seething with construction ants. Everything was being built. They were meeting their mission goals. People were eating lunch. People were building things with concrete. They were just doing, you know. Well, all I got, people want to play pickleball. They love pickleball, but that's all I can do. No matter how hard I work, that's all people want to do. I can't get. They got 1 million pounds of concrete, and I can't get them to dig it up out of the earth because you can't keep it there. They'd rather go demobilize the contractor and then wait till I sue them into court. Mr. Sloan takes them before the magistrate, and another 6 months has gone by, and we make him take up the foundation. Or Mr. Summerlin takes the equipment over there and he takes up the foundation. Or we pay somebody and they take up the foundation, and then we sue them into court to get our money back. And then we have to get that through a tax lien. And that's another year I got to wait to get it back. I mean, every single day. It's 5 years into this. Why didn't somebody after the hurricane, the 3 years before I became the mayor, start doing something about it? Why didn't they? Why didn't somebody else do the things that we've had to do to recover from the city? But a circle?
Because of us, right?
Because of you.
No, because of all the people that are demanding. Because of April demanding something be done at the Labrisa. Because the special magistrate, the code enforcement. Because people.
It's all part of the pie that makes up how it works. It just is. We live in a democracy. We vote on everything. We vote to agree or we vote to disagree. But the bottom line is this: as long as I'm your mayor, we're going to clean the city of Parker up. I am not going to stop. This should look like Tyndall does. When people come off that new bridge, the vision should be that it's beautiful coming into Parker. This is our opportunity now. Now's our opportunity to make it for the future. New homes, new restaurants, new businesses, new Air Force Base. Finally, a new bridge. We got a new pier. So all of it matters. All of it matters. Every little bit matters. I was out there yesterday and I left inspired by the general that came to speak at the aircrafts being launched today for the first time, and how he said that the day after the hurricane he walked down the flight line with his staff driving a beat up pickup truck, and they knew it was bad. Well, let me tell you, it was bad here. It was damn bad here. And from that day to today, this isn't the same city. I promise you. I promise you. There was so much heartache and sadness those 4 or 5 weeks after. It was bad. Anybody else got anything else to talk about before we close?
Your 3 minutes is up.
My 3 minutes. I'll have to eat that in the morning. Good night. Thanks, Oh, I'm sorry. Too late. I asked you.
I've said everything I need to say.
You were wonderful. Thank you.
Well, some people don't think so.
I think you were.